Okay, guys, this is the longest video or series I've ever done. But this is a creepypasta by creepypasta called When God Blinks. Here it is, part 1. Okay.
On the 25th of March, at 14:57 GMT, the world stopped for 27 minutes and 54 seconds. No one noticed at first. Those that eventually did were ordered to keep quiet. There was no sudden jolt, no collapsing into unconsciousness, no transition into utter darkness and back again. Nothing. For everyone, time had appeared to pass as normal, 1 second moving uneventfully into the next. Birds flew, people talked, the wind and the rain blew and fell respectively. Nothing had occurred to indicate that anything untoward or unexpected had happened to the inhabitants of Earth. Only those who looked beyond our planet and its ring of constantly chattering satellites now found that the rest of the universe told a different story. NASA and related space agencies noticed first. Signals to ongoing missions beyond those in orbit around the Earth were off by almost 30 minutes. Frantic investigations revealed that the same time discrepancy was occurring for all incoming signals. Naturally, they came to the conclusion that the problem must therefore lay not with these external elements, but with the computers on Earth. But this led to a bigger question. One computer glitch was possible, but all of the various space agencies' computers across the globe showing the same failure at exactly the same time? Naturally, a virus or a sophisticated global hacking attack was the next obvious answer. An international team to investigate such a large, well-coordinated cyber attack was being discussed when the first calls of alarm came in from confused and concerned astronomers, and the true significance of what had actually happened became known. Using data retrieved from telescopic arrays at Jodrell Bank, Palo Alto, Mount Pleasant, and others across the world, confirmed against existing stellar records and computeral models of the local galaxy and beyond it, it became apparent that for 27 minutes and 54 seconds, the Earth had somehow been out of sync with the rest of known time and space. In essence, the world as we knew it had winked out of existence during this period and then returned, as if nothing had happened. For all intents and purposes, during that short window of time, we had ceased to be. The international investigation team was repurposed, a blank check written, giving it its pick of resources and the best minds in their field, all to investigate this one event, and all sworn to the utmost secrecy. None of them needed to be told the panic that would ensue if this information became public before a suitable and hopefully reassuring reason could be given for the event. Those that couldn't keep silent were quickly and quietly silenced themselves. Despite the various project names assigned to the subteams, those involved began referring to the event in a half-joking manner as the day God blinked. In casual conversation between project members, this was eventually shortened even further to just the blink. After 6 rings, Ben finally opened the door. "Mark, what are you doing here? You invited me, remember?" "Did I? How odd. Well, I probably had a reason at the time. It's still good to see you anyway. Go on in." I'd known Ben since childhood. We attended the same schools for a while, before his crazily high IQ led him onto a fast track of higher education and beyond. We kept in touch though. His parents were sensible enough to realize he needed some grounding in the real world, and encouraged our friendship with the usual sleepovers and camping trips. Their smarts lay in forcing Ben not to let his social skills atrophy completely, like a lot of very intelligent kids were wont to do. As a result, whilst he was frequently sidetracked and forgetful, he still functioned in normal society with a degree of success. After our respective schooling had finished, we both moved into the IT industry, although at vastly different levels. For myself, I now work in tech support, mostly maintaining insurance systems for a range of small, independent companies. Boring, but it pays well and allowed me to travel. He, on the other hand, was self-employed and preferred working from his apartment of solitude, as he called it, referring to himself as a consulting technician. He'd gotten the idea from watching reruns of Sherlock. His work was a lot more varied and advanced, and while he never openly admitted to hacking, he certainly had enough technical knowledge and experience to have been employed in the past by such names as Google, Microsoft, and IBM when they needed someone to test the all-new, unshakable security they'd just put in place, or track down those that had subsequently been able to breach their all-new, unshakable security. He preferred the latter work, he told me. It added the thrill of the chase, plus it usually paid better. What was less well known was the work he occasionally did, off the books, for groups as the Department of Defense and the NSA. He admitted his working for them was twofold. One, they wanted his expertise and brilliance, and two, it allowed them to keep tabs on his expertise and brilliance. He didn't mind this, as he explained once. Well, it keeps them happy knowing where I am and what I'm doing, or at least what they think I'm doing. And then he'd grin and pass me the latest decoded email he'd intercepted. He didn't do anything with the stuff he found. He just enjoyed the challenge. To be completely honest, sometimes it was hard to pin out just who Ben was and what his motivations were from one moment to the next. I'd just grown up accepting him and his eccentricities, quickly coming to the conclusion his life was a complex pattern of impulses and ideas, woven together from threads that were as much madness as genius. There was his belief that every time someone said, abracadabra, an angel lost its wings, or that the common cold existed as a vast hive mentality that avoided detection by its elements constantly hopping from body to body. Mad, crazy stuff like that. Half the time I thought he was joking. For the rest, I just hoped he had enough common sense to rein it in when in public. Then there were the times he did, and said things that ended up on the opposite end of that, when what he said made absolute unnerving sense. On those occasions, he spoke with a lucidity that had seemed to cut through all the crap humankind had built around its certainties and beliefs, as if he'd touched on some universal truth we should all by rights know. All I could do at those times was marvel at how someone with such a kaleidoscope for a brain, entertaining such a maelstrom of contradictory thoughts constantly, could suddenly bring all those elements together to produce those single, blindingly white lights of truth. Then he'd suddenly go off on a tangent, accusing his neighbors of being CIA agents trialing neurotoxins on local cats, and we'd be back to normal. Still, I came at his summons. Despite the crazed theories and old habits, it was definitely the most entertaining conversation around. Plus his library of illegally downloaded films was truly a wonder to behold. That, and he was my friend. It was during a piece of work for NASA, idling through their secure systems, looking for proof of Area 51 during his time off, that led him to first discover and then piece together all the facts concerning March 25th and the blink found by the international team so far. Being his only close friend, he decided to fill me in on this ongoing conspiracy, mainly so he could show off his talents once more, hence the invitation. As he spoke, he appeared completely oblivious to how my face was gradually growing more and more incredulous. He described what the world's space agencies and astronomers had discovered, and how a secret scientific think tank was now investigating what had happened. Physicists, quantum theorists, mathematicians, the whole spectrum of sciences, all focused on this one problem and the questions associated with it. What had happened? Why it had happened? And most importantly, was it likely to happen again? And if so, what was the risk of it being permanent? He told me of the news blackout and how any amateur astronomers or similar who now came to the same conclusions were to either be brought on board, treated as cranks, or disappeared with extreme prejudice. Their biggest fear was a mass panic, he said, or the world's religions taking credit on behalf of their respective gods, and several genocidal wars kicking off as a result. As he said, there's nothing more disconcerting, I guess, than not being able to trust your own reality. We've been raised in a world where it's fine to distrust your own government, your employers, even your family, but your own entire existence? Definitely a recipe for chaos. Places like CERN have been placed on almost permanent hiatus. The governments of the world have no proof experiments like the ones they were doing there are the cause. But then I suppose they had to point the finger somewhere until more evidence showed up. There's a lot of theoretical work being done now, but pretty much zero practical. I guess it's only a matter of time before they get the script writers from Doctor Who to brainstorm a possible cause. He sighed at this, sat back in his swivel chair, and spun around, gazing at the ceiling, seemingly lost in thought. Then, he slowly came to a stop and returned his gaze to me, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Then, on the other side, you have all the religions. At this, he paused again, looked around his clustered desk, and then started building what looked like a tower of various bits and pieces. As it slowly grew in height, he continued speaking. Remember our Bible classes? I liked the stories, if not the morality. I especially liked the story of Babel. The rising structure of books, hard drives, chocolate bars, magazines, and other random items his hands could find and reach had risen to a height just below his chin. He added a few more items, adding to the precarious
Part
sway
two's
it
coming.
already had.